What's up guys, Nibbin here from Maker Watch Company. Today's video is focused specifically on how to run a successful Instagram product auction. As a small team of two, we've been building our watches and our business completely from scratch. And we've learned a bunch along the way. Please subscribe. It would mean the world to us to help continue to put these videos out. Hosting an Instagram product auction is a great way to generate quick revenue, especially if your items in demand and supply short. They generally work well for one-of-a-kind items, but you can almost sell anything via Instagram auction. Some of the prerequisites of doing an Instagram auction is 1, you need an Instagram account. 2, you need an audience. You don't need thousands and hundreds of thousands or millions of followers to be able to run a successful product auction. We have 9,000 followers on Instagram, and all of our auctions have been very successful. What we would say though is your audience is engaged and you've built a sense of community and people are obviously interested in your products. Tip number 1, have compelling photography or videography. You don't need to go overboard with this. With an extravagant photo shoot or a very cinematic video, you just need something that simply and clearly shows your product so that it's very obvious what the item is. It's best to include a variety of photos into a carousel post. You want to make it relatable for a potential bidder. How are they going to visualize that product or service in their life? We find that in a carousel post, you want to add, the name of the product, the date of the auction, and also the starting bid price. It helps differentiate the post from a regular post that you would normally put out. It lets your following know that there's something else here that's a little bit different. Oh, it's an auction. It's on this date and here's the bidding price. So anyone that's interested is going to pay more attention. So make sure on that first post of your carousel that you add a bit of text, and we'll post something up here that you can get an example, and we'll also link it in the description to see what we've done. But just make it stand out and let your community know that this isn't a regular feed post, this is an auction post. Number 2, tell a story through the ad copy. This part is extremely important, especially if your product has a story attached to it. If we take a watch from our website, we'll take down the story and consolidate it to make it more Instagram friendly. In our experience, people resonate with a good story. For example, in our last auction, the winning bidder was never a follower of ours. He stumbled upon our auction post, read the copy, was intrigued enough as he found it relatable to him, went to our website, read the entire copy, and said, you know what, I need to have this watch. And he ended up winning. And after, when we asked him why he made that purchase, he said, your ad copy, the story behind the watch was so in line with what I believe, I just had to have it. That was a direct example of building trust through ad copy by telling a story of your product. Number 3, clear auction rules. This one is by far the most important from an operational perspective to execute a smoothly run auction. There's a link in the description with an article that lists all of these out. I'm going to go through some of the top rules that we think you should definitely implement in your Instagram product auction. Number 1, currency of payment. We're a Canadian company and we do a lot of business to the United States. So we clearly state, this is in US dollars and the price will be converted. You want to be transparent so that both your Canadian and your US or wherever you're selling your product, people understand what currency their final checkout is going to be in. Next is the minimum bid increment. This is super important as it's going to dictate how people play the auction. In our experience, $20 USD for us is high enough and also reasonable enough where a serious bidder is not going to lose sleep or be scared to put in, an extra $20. Obviously will depend on your product, but we would recommend anywhere as low as $10 up to $100. Next is clarity on your close of auction. For example, this bid will end on March 31st at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It seems obvious to mention the time zone, but if you have a following that varies from anywhere across the world, you'll want to be very specific on the exact time and time zone in which the auction closes. We recommend hosting an auction that's open for 8 to 12 hours and not extending it across multiple days. As you guys know, Instagram posts are hot 1 minute, dead the next, so you want to keep that engagement within that same day. We find that 8 to 12 hours is enough time for people to see the post, think about it, and decide if they're gonna, put in their bid. We've done bids in the past that have extended 2 days. Honestly, a lot of people forget about it. So you want to build that sense of urgency by posting it and closing it all within the same day. One of the key rules we've implemented as part of the close of bid is called a no sniping rule. This essentially prevents anyone from coming in at the last second and throwing in their bid and winning from a time perspective. Every final bid needs to stick for 5 minutes. So if the auction closes at 9 p.m., that final bid, if a bid comes in at 9, it needs to stick till 9:05. So if someone else now comes in at 9:04 and they put in a bid, the auction now extends till 9:09 for anyone else to put in a subsequent bid. It's super important to have a no sniping rule because you could have someone that's invested a lot of time throughout the day. They might think they're the final bidder, that they're the winner, and then the last second someone comes in and snipes them. That bidder who is very invested may have been willing to spend more money, but they didn't have the opportunity due to a time blackout. So more about the no sniping rule in the article, check it out. Bid submissions. You want to be very clear on how you're going to accept a bid. You'd be surprised, but we get bids via DM or email, and in order to keep the auction very transparent so that everyone who's participating knows what's happening, it's important to keep the bids within a comment, and specifically within a new comment. Anytime someone's bidding, they must place the bid in the comment for everyone to see, and if they're rebidding, they should not reply to their old bid. They need to create a brand new comment so that you can see based on the timestamps when the bids are coming in, and it's fully transparent. Finally, with respect to the close of auction, you want to be very clear with shipping. Is shipping included or not? How much will it be? And also when you expect to receive payment. We generally put in a rule that full payment must be received within 24 hours of the auction closing. Otherwise, the product goes on to the next highest bidder. Number 4, promote ahead of time. You can run steps 1 through 3 flawlessly, but if you do not promote your product auction, it will be a failure. We recommend posting at least 3 to 5 days before your auction on your Instagram stories, letting people know, hey, we're running an auction on this date. Here's a pro tip. When you post an Instagram story, use the countdown feature and enter in the date of the auction. This way, people who are browsing through your stories who are seriously interested in the auctions will have the ability to save that timer and have it remind them when the auction is going live. We find this very effective. Our 5th and final tip is frequency. You want to be very mindful with how often you actually host an Instagram auction. Yes, it is effective for quick revenue, but you also want to be mindful of your other customers that are paying full price, and you don't want people really sitting around waiting to make a purchase until they see something that they like. So use it sparingly. We do it at most once per month, and we also generally auction off items that are a bit more experimental or they've been sitting in inventory for a long time, and it's time for them to move. And that's it. If you found this video valuable, we'd really appreciate a thumbs up or even a subscribe. It would mean the absolute world to us. And comment if you want to see more videos with tips and tricks on different aspects that we're learning as we build our business up from scratch. Again, guys, thank you so much. This is Niben for Maker Watch Company. Until next time, take care.